Hello everyone and welcome. Make a cup of your favorite drink and get comfortable because this is a wonderful time for new stories from Yellow Cake. Send your own stories in the comments below and maybe they'll be in our new video. Subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed yet. Let's get started. When did you know you had to resign from your job? Part 4. I was the front desk manager and cook at a hotel a few years ago. We had a great time together. Boss, the man, would be the first to arrive and the last to leave the office area each day. He would make a daily round to see how everyone was feeling. Upon my arrival at the company, I noticed that many of the employees had permanent contracts. In my country, a contract must be renewed every 3 years. These individuals were devoted to the company, and some had even worked there for 25 years. When the financial crisis hit, the general manager, GM, helps the hotel get through the difficult times of lower revenue and prevents it from collapsing. However, just as everything is safe and secure, we receive word from corporate that Cool GM's contract has been terminated and that a new GM will take his place. When the new general manager took over, corporate gave him the order to fire everyone on long-term contract and hire cheaper labor. First up is housekeeping. After they finish cleaning, he checks each room and just gets under their skin, berating them and allowing them to work overtime on a regular basis. He has worked them to the bone over the course of a few months, and they have all but asked for a transfer or gotten quiet. His next target was the restaurant, and where he employed the same ruse. The majority of the staff had been there for 25 years and were well versed in the business. He gave them a stern lecture and called them trash, which caused the floor manager, assistant manager, breakfast crew, and F&B manager to become extremely agitated on a very busy day. Remember, some of them were trash, but the trash people stuck around because they were chummy with the new general manager. The kitchen came next, and this one required a different approach from the others because he wanted to retain the sous chef and line cooks while getting the head chef, steward, and breakfast crew to step down. The breakfast chefs had worked there for 20 years, and the head chef for 9 years, and the stewards for 12 and 23 years. All of them were dependable, devoted, and, most importantly, hygienic. The new general manager has called Health and Services to request that they conduct an HACCP inspection on us. We're not sure how, but we failed the inspection. The head chef calls to explain what went wrong, and the sous chef gets up and says, "I have a new job, I'll take the fall." The head chef then reports that steps have been taken, and the sous has resigned, accepting responsibility for the shortcomings and failure of the HACCP checkup. Enraged, the new general manager took another stab at the kitchen, switching up the shifts and terminating the cooks' contracts and refusing to approve vacation or day off days. The head chef just put up with it all, and a large portion of the kitchen crew quits or gets fired. The head chef calls me one day to tell me that I've been moved to the front office manager and night shift guy and am no longer needed in the kitchen. There was just the head chef, 2 stewarding cooks, and 2 breakfast chefs left in the kitchen. The month passed, and all of a sudden, the whole kitchen staff comes parading to the GM office, all with a letter in hand, and they just put them on the table, and as if they rehearsed it, they all said, "We quit as of right now, collecting all of our spare time, overtime, and compensation hours." Compensation hours were the extra hours you would get if you worked Christmas and such holidays and Sundays. From that point on, everything went south. Employees began quitting left and right. Turned out that it's more difficult to find qualified employees than it is to fire them. Additionally, if he hired any new employees, they had no idea what to do and no one to mentor them. After moving to a new hotel, I occasionally overheard stories from my previous workplace. Right now, the entire establishment is managed by freelance cooks, waiters, and housekeepers. It's a real S show. However, as far as the front office is concerned, you might be surprised to hear that corporate was calling off the witch hunt because they were perplexed by the number of people who were not seeking employment, which is untrue, as professionals in my field simply have many options and we are a dying breed. Anyway, the new GM messed it up because 2/3 of the front office quit on their own and didn't renew their contracts. Did work for an airline based out of North Las Vegas Airport, won't say which one. At the time, I was working for the company as a ground instructor while also going to school for a commercial pilot certificate. Two other coworkers were in the same situation as me. My instructor, who was the chief flight instructor, and her husband, who was the chief of maintenance, were the next two people. We pretty much ran the whole airplane program together, making sure that all of the students' needs were met as quickly as possible. We quickly learned that the owners didn't care about us airplane people because the business started out as a helicopter tour company and put most of its attention on the helicopters, even though they only brought in 22% of the total revenue and the airplanes almost tripled that. We five worked hard to make sure everything went smoothly, which made morale low. In the end, this made us want to buy our own airplane as individual share owners. Let me say that our teacher is great, and this would let us all get the grades we want while following along. Long story short, another ground instructor and I gave our 2 weeks notice because we were leaving right after our commercial check ride to buy our own plane. For people who don't know, a check ride is your last test to get your license, which you take with an FAA-approved instructor. The boss flips her S, fired all 5 of us for going behind her back and betraying the company. Mind you, we had all discussed our concerns numerous times with her, which resulted in false promises for a better work environment. Chief of Maintenance was fired strictly by associates of owning the aircraft with us. The best part is that the whole plane program is failing, and I can see it for myself because I still work on the same field as them, next hangar over. The universe is a jerk, and I'm making 3 times as much as she is. Plus, we got our own plane. I used to work at the corporate office of a medium-sized store in the Midwest. The division that made the company a lot of money had its own IPO, which didn't go so well. Things got tight after that. Finally, the boss decided to thin out the group, so they pushed people to retire early. Some went. Then they looked at the IT area and changed how it was set up. About 300 people, I think, work as programmers, help desk staff, networkers, and other roles. They took experts who worked with mainframes and put them to work supporting desktop PCs. They split the networking and desktop support team into different groups. Some people worked in-store support, others stayed in networking, others did work on mainframes, and so on. People on the qualified and certified team, Netware Days, had their rights taken away and given to the data security team. One of them took the class, but didn't take the certification test because they were afraid they would fail. Support staff at the corporate office, level 2 and 3, were sent to the stores to answer help desk calls. I have nothing bad to say about the help desk staff. They do a great job, but putting someone there who hasn't been trained with no support system in place isn't a good career move with room for advancement, as the IT director put it. Make sure everyone fails. Like this, a lot of people left over a year. Got so bad that they sent emails once a week saying we wish X luck with their future plans. In the end, almost everyone quit, and some people who didn't quit lost their jobs. They lost a lot of good employees who cared about the company and its success. Wasn't a surprise when the business shut down in the end. It's crazy how long it took. Could you share about a negative experience you have had with a homeowners association? Part 4. Currently, I reside in a condominium complex, and the person in charge of our HOA is a notorious slumlord in our region. He is the owner of a number of apartment complexes that have not been updated since they were constructed, have management that is extremely corrupt, and are generally considered to be a D-head by everyone. It was the first time I came into contact with him that he attempted to hand me a bill for $300 for a piece of cardboard that he claimed he discovered in a dumpster. However, the cardboard in question did not contain my address or name anywhere on it. According to him, he was able to determine that it was mine because it was an Amazon box and I receive a lot of packages from Amazon. Haven't paid them a dime and I have no intention of doing so. To tell you the truth, it wasn't even my cardboard box. The second incident occurred when the landscaper simply forgot to trim the hedges that were located outside of my condominium until they eventually reached a height of approximately 5 feet above my roof. It is likely that the cardboard incident is the reason why I didn't receive a response to the few emails that I sent to them requesting that they take care of the situation. I wrote them a letter and sent it to them through certified mail explaining that because they had broken their agreement to take care of landscaping responsibilities, I was being forced to take care of the circumstance on my own. I would learn topiary on my own time until I was skilled enough to carve animal figures into the hedges outside my condo, at which point I would gladly send them a bill for services rendered. Within a short period of time, hedges were trimmed and, to tell you the truth, made me a little bit sad. My HOA, all male retirees. Nothing wrong with that necessarily, but a lot of the things they do frankly smacks of fatherly censor. They are good old boys, and I think that myself and any POC or the younger set in my neighborhood don't see eye to eye with the lordly HOA. Our community pool is reached from a public road, so they put a gate in the middle of the parking lot that can only be opened with a fob. I've asked other moms and neighbors about this, and they all just shake their heads. From what I've heard, that stupid friggin' gate to our park/pool gets a 100% disapproval rating. Because it's also where our neighborhood soccer games happen, parking is a pain because of that huge iron gate. A friend of mine wanted to get a pet for her classroom and keep it at home. She was ready to ask the HOA for permission, get a license, etc. to keep the animal, but the HOA said no right away, saying that everyone else would want pigs or chickens instead. Okay, Solomon. Then, after my friend was shot, another woman from our nicer gated neighborhood said that the Christmas decorations in our nicer gated neighborhood are depressing her. She immediately gets permission to spend several $1,000s on a project to decorate. The heads of our HOA was just re-elected, which is great. For the next 3 years, he can use his own business to do a number of projects in our neighborhood. Someone else on our board was so I can't even that he quit right then. He put some mulch bags on our driveway. On Friday afternoon, we got rocks to use in our landscaping on Saturday, and then we got letters about leaving things on our driveway. Yes, he used it less than 24 hours after putting 3 bags of mulch on our driveway. There are a ton more stories, and my HOA is not nightmarish, but runs at a low simmering level of high-handedness, cronyism, and condensation. We now live in a townhouse that has an HOA. Someone would go around the neighborhood and make notes every time the trash was picked up. People on our street were told they would get fined if they didn't bring their trash cans inside. People were going through this before they even got home from work. That made all of us very angry. The townhouse next to us looked like it had been left empty. We never saw anyone over there in the 3 years we lived there. Due to our failure to do their yard work, the HOA began to threaten us with fines. Got to the office and showed them the bylaws that said if the owners of a townhouse weren't doing the yard work, the HOA would. Our townhouses need to be painted because the HOA says so. The paint colors and the builder were chosen by them. The painting cost money. Oh, and the contractor was the brother of the HOA's manager. Paint our townhouse, garage, and front door. After a year, we need to move out of state, so we sell our house. The HOA tells us they're going to put a lien on the house because the garage door is the wrong color and we'll have to pay $200 a day in fines for a year. I faxed over the painter's bill, which had a list of the work that was done and the colors that were used. Right, get your effing brother to fix it on it. The lien threats were dropped and the sale went through. I'm not going to live in another HOA ever again. After a year, I forgot to say that everyone in our row of townhouses was being warned they would be fined if they had the wrong color paint on their door, garage door, or window trim. Their brother painted them all, and the HOA chose the same colors for all of them. They probably wanted to get money from us and hoped that none of us would keep our bills. The brother did a great job and was very professional because he gave us all very detailed bills. I had no problem with him. It's the head of the HOA that was the problem. The condo association where my parents live is known for its egregious lack of integrity. The president of the board has appointed a group of subordinates to serve on the board. I have no idea what he has on them, but regardless of the circumstances, they always appear to vote in his favor. Certain things, such as the fact that he votes for improvements and that one of the other board members, who is not certified, licensed, or anything else, does a lot of work, including electrical work, HVAC work, carpentry work, and so on. There are no licenses, inspections, or other requirements, and he's compensated for his actions and almost certainly kicks it back up to El Jefe. Along comes my father. He puts in a lot of effort over the course of a couple of years in order to earn a position on the board. Then he begins to hold his feet to the fires. Few of the other members of the board are beginning to change their minds. It's a large gathering for all of the tenants to attend to bring up concerns regarding the lack of care taken by the person in charge of the board. The head of the board is removed from his position by the tenants, led by my father. If you want to watch the part 3, click the link here. We're very, very glad to see you all in the comments again. Many, many thanks for your support.